And this complaint is applicable to literally everyone. And I'm talking about AFTERSHOCK, I'm talking about DREAMCORE, I'm talking about Kingdom PCs, I'm talking about Mensa. So you know Challenger, basically the Best Buy of Singapore. They're not the most enthusiast tech shop in Singapore, but I appreciate them for being a convenient option to just get cables or accessories. Recently, their investment arm Challenger Ventures have decided that they wanted to enter the custom PC building market. They looked at the market that already had AFTERSHOCK, DREAMCORE, Mensa is also there, SimLim Square, and they thought to themselves, you know what? It's not a saturated market. We can definitely stand out in this market. We're gonna enter it. Well, apparently the way they figured out they can stand out is by having a website straight out of 2003, which is what we're reacting to today. The first thing that you notice when you enter this website is just this gaudy black and green color scheme. Now look, it works for Razer, but even Razer doesn't want this black and green color scheme anymore. Like it's a lot. It's pretty harsh and it's very gamery, which might be what they're going for. I guess, DreamCore took white and purple, AFTERSHOCK took black and red. The next thing you notice is that apart from its logo, the font that they used is really retro, should I say. They chose this Times New Roman serif font that looks like the kind of thing, the font that you'll type in to submit an assignment and an essay in primary school or something. It just looks straight out 2003, 2004. It really doesn't look modern, and generally with a tech PC building company, you want to look modern. The next thing you notice about the website is that the layout is suspiciously like AFTERSHOCK. You've got like the slide on top, right? You've got a slide on top, and then you've got 4 PC options, and I'm just gonna put AFTERSHOCK's one up here. You've got the slide on top, and then you've got the 4 PC options, and then you've got an about us for the second half of the page. So it's like a lousier AFTERSHOCK layout. Now, I'm not trying to be biased to AFTERSHOCK and just bash Kingdom PCs, but be a bit more unique, be a bit more special, like DreamCore's website. They're clearly competitors to AFTERSHOCK, but they've got like little tabs, they've got their own style to things. AFTERSHOCK's got their own style to things, and they stand out from each other. This just looks like this, but worse. Kingdom just looks a bit like AFTERSHOCK, but worse. Half of the screen is, yes, PC stuff that you can buy, but the other half is just text. Look at the amount of text on here. It's just a Wikipedia page about themselves. You haven't sold many PCs yet. Stop tooting your own horn. And I guess maybe it's important that they want to talk about their assurances and where they come from, because they are a new brand. So they want the consumer to know that they are Challenger. They're from Challenger. You can trust them because they're from Challenger. They didn't just pop up overnight. They're legit. I understand that, but you can do it in a more succinct, eye-catching way that doesn't turn the user off from your website. That doesn't make the website feel dated and old. And also most on the information here about where you can find them, about where you can get the warranties and stuff, all the stuff like that. You can hide it in another page, like an About Us page, right? Most websites do that, and it makes a lot more sense. If people who care about where you guys came from will just look for your About Us page. You don't have all of that as text. It just gets boring, feels like you're studying. Now, at this point in the video, I'm gonna react to Kingdom PC's part list and prices, but before that, I need to complain about something, and this complaint is applicable to literally everyone. And I'm talking about AFTERSHOCK, I'm talking about DREAMCORE, I'm talking about Kingdom PCs, I'm talking about Mensa, I'm talking about a lot of the PC building companies out there that I've seen, and that is, why isn't there the ability for me to see a cohesive list of all the options that I have at the prices that I'm planning to shop at? Look, a lot of people, me included, shop based on budget. I want to get the best that I can for my budget, for my needs. And you're not helping me by hiding everything behind specific model names and specific niches. Let me give you an example of an average customer and the confusion they have to face when they're buying a PC from, say, DreamCore or Kingdom or AFTERSHOCK. So let's take DreamCore because they have the most different models, and it tends to be the most confusing to me. Let's say I have a budget of $2,800. I want a gaming PC. I go to DreamCore's website because someone recommended it to me and say it was pretty good. I then see, and there is Dream Builds as one of the model lineups, IQ Systems, Ghost, Phantom as one of the model lineups, Dream Machine Pro, and then Reverie, and then Fuel. And because all of their starting prices are $2,000 and below, they are all technically in my budget, which means now, if I'm inexperienced, I then have to go through every single one of these model lineup and find out what is the part combination can I get in this model lineup for $2,800, and then compare it from there. Now, it's okay that you want to do this differentiation to give certain customers an easier time. Yes, this will definitely help some customers because, okay, if they're looking for a gaming rig, you can then recommend them to the Ghost or the Dream Machine. Or if they're looking for a workstation rig, you can recommend them to the Reverie or the Dream Machine Pro or something like that. Sure, that is helpful for some customers. I think I won't be alone in saying that I would love the option to be able to see all my choices at my price range at one go. So what I'm telling you is this. All these PC building companies, take this, it's free advice, and back me up in the comments if you think a feature like this, it makes a lot of sense, and show them that that is something they should add. Why don't you, on your websites, add a list view, a cohesive list of literally every PC part combination that you guys can sell or want to sell from every single model lineup, and allow me to filter by price. That way, if I'm shopping at a $2,700 to $2,800 budget, I can see all my options in that price range at a quick glance and waste minimal time and make a quick comparison and do quick research and make quick decisions. It's gonna make your customers' life so much easier, and it's gonna make them want to buy from your website so much more because they aren't intimidated at finding out what all your different model lineups mean, and they feel confident that they're buying the best possible combinations of parts from you because they have had the ability to see all the parts, options and combinations that they can get at that price range from you. Even better, apart from adding a filter feature that allows you to filter by price, you can maybe give customers an option to shortlist the part builds and the part lists that they want and allow them to compare it and have an automated system that explains why this part combination from this model lineup is different to this model lineup. Okay, so I search $2,800 and I select all the part lists at $2,800 thereabout, and then I go into my shortlist view mode, and then on the side it explains the different model lineups that I have happened to choose these part lists from and why they are set up differently. Let's say I have chosen a $2,800 rig from the Reverie workstation model lineup. I've chosen a $2,800 rig from a Dream Machine compact PC lineup. I've chosen a $2,800 rig from the Ghost, which is more of a value optimized lineup. It will then say on the side, the Ghost has the most powerful CPU, GPU, and pure gaming performance because most of the budget is allocated to the CPU and GPU. It then says, oh, the Reverie has weaker CPU and GPU for the price, but it does increase the budget allocated to higher and larger and faster SSDs to be more conducive in a professional workflow. Yeah, so this should probably solve the problem where I have to explain to a viewer who comes to my Discord asking for help, where they're like, why is this PC more powerful than that, but less money? Then I have to explain, oh, it's because this SSD is fancier, this power supply is fancier, the way it's set up is fancier, this one has custom water cooling and stuff like that. It would just completely eliminate that problem if you guys added this kind of feature. Okay, so now we're gonna compare the pricing for parts on this PC, and also I want to be looking at kind of the quality of the part selections in their PC builds. So let's start off with the custom series. The custom series is just customization. They have plenty of options here, so there's nothing wrong. And it's going to be more expensive to go with a fully customized rig because it doesn't have the economies of scale to make it cheaper. So if you want to save money with any PC build, it's a better idea to go with a pre-selected rig like DREAMCORE's Dream Builds or AFTERSHOCK's Ready to Ship. Kingdom PC's, pre-selected setup lists that you can't customize as much. Powered by ASUS series, I'm not really going to compare because this is like a special thing they're doing with ASUS, and I really dislike this cheaper ASUS case. I think it's kind of ugly. The high-end ASUS case looks pretty good, but the cheaper one looks kind of ugly, so I don't know really anything about it. The only thing you need to know about these powered by ASUS rigs is that pretty much all the parts in it that can be ASUS are ASUS. This 5600G PC is not worth it because you're paying $2,000 for a rig that does not have a dedicated GPU when you can buy a $2,000 rig from DREAMCORE or AFTERSHOCK. Now, the one that most people will be looking at is probably the curated series because I think most people agree with me that cheaper ASUS PC case is a bit ugly. So you have a few options here. They all use Kingdom PC's own case. They don't have any like third-party cases. I guess that saves them cost, but once again, avoid the 5600G rig. It's really not worth it. But the part lists all look pretty decent. Like you've got 12700KF matched with 3070 Ti. That's like a good combination of GPU and CPU. You've got like RTX 3070 matched with an 5600. The only thing that I find kind of weird is the fact that the 5600X rigs are getting cooled by a ML360L V2, which is this right here. And this is a 360mm water cooler. And I guess they don't want to have too many different cooler options, but this is just an overkill water cooler for 5600X. You can do perfectly fine with a nice air cooler with a 5600X, have no issues. So I don't know why they're gonna make you buy a 360mm cooler when just that simple tower cooler will suffice. But I guess it's to just streamline things. So taking a look at the combinations, apart from that, I don't really have any complaints here. You get a very high-end Corsair 1TB MP600 Pro XT SSD at the very least on most of them, and you get like a good combination. Like you get enough power supply for the level of GPU and CPU you're getting. There's nothing that's blatantly terrible, that's a fire hazard or likely to be unstable. The only question now here is then, is it value for money compared to its competition, and whether you like the PC case. Whether you like the PC case is obviously up to you. You don't get an option to swap it, but whether the price is competitive, that one we're gonna find out right now. I'm gonna focus on the Perara-san because I think this is gonna be the most popular rig. This and the Shogun. The 5600X PCs is probably gonna be the most popular option out of all of this. It's the gamer focused one, it's the value gamer focused one, and most people are value gamers, so these are probably the rigs that people will be looking at the most. And this one is a 5600X and an RTX 3070. It comes in at 2,800 Singapore dollars, and as I said before, it's got an overkill water cooler, but I've talked about it already, so I'm not going to repeat that. It comes with the B550M MSI Mag motherboard, which is decent. It's a good choice, and for the price, it seems pretty reasonable. That is for sure. And it comes with like a very high-end SSD as well as Vengeance Pro RGB RAM, which is nice. Taking a look at DreamCore's competition and AFTERSHOCK's competition in the form of their ready-to-ship PCs. DreamCore has a Dream build for $2,750. It is $50 less than this, but also has an RTX 3070. It also has an X5 Cine S MSI motherboard, which is better, much better than a B550M motherboard. It's not that it's a big deal and you must have an X5 Cine motherboard, but for the fact that it's $50 less, you're getting a better motherboard. Now, of course, you do lose out on the fact that you're using a slightly slower SSD, but it's still a Gen 4 SSD. It's still going to be more than enough for the average gamer. Definitely more than enough for the average gamer. And yes, the RAM isn't Vengeance Pro, it's a Crucial Ballistics kit, but it's also 3600 MHz. So yes, it's weaker in some aspects, but it's also $50 cheaper and has the same CPU and GPU, and that's kind of the most important things. And as for the AFTERSHOCK rig, AFTERSHOCK's really aggressive here. They're $50 cheaper than the Kingdom PC, so it's the same price as the equivalent Dream build from DreamCore. But in this case, they have given a 3070 Ti. Yes, that is not a lot better than a 3070, but it's still an improvement for $50 less than the Kingdom PC build. In this case, they have a 1TB Samsung Gen 4 SSD. It also has a 240mm all-in-one water cooler rather than the rather overkill 360mm water cooler that Kingdom PCs are providing. So it is definitely very competitive to both the DreamCore rig and the Kingdom PC rig. So in the case of the AFTERSHOCK rig, it beats in terms of GPU and loses in terms of cooler. So if you're looking for pure performance in this particular price range, AFTERSHOCK is the winner. But if you're looking for the fancy motherboard features that you might want from MSI's X570S Tomahawk, then the DreamCore is the one you want. So I would say it's pretty neck and neck, except the only like true loser here is the Kingdom PC's build, because yes, it has the advantage of a better cooler, but it's an overkill cooler, so the advantage is not really needed. Not saying it's bad, because if you can get it in stock, it's like better than nothing, right? So what have we learned in this video? Well, number one, we have learned that Kingdom PCs, they absolutely need a better website. Number two, we have learned that in the kind of a mid-range $2,800 gaming PC of a 5600X with a 3070 Ti. If you want pure performance, AFTERSHOCK seems to be the king. DreamCore seems to be the features king because it has the best motherboard. And if you pay $50 more, you can get less GPU performance and less motherboard features. But you can get an overkill 360mm water cooler if you go with Kingdom PC. Maybe the Shogun rig performs better against its competition, but we're kind of out of time today. While it loses out a little bit, it's not like it's losing out a lot. So if you are in a pinch, if the other shops are out of stock, which is unlikely because AFTERSHOCK sells GPUs standalone now, by the way, that's how many GPUs they have, Kingdom PCs is a good choice. But they are a new company and competition is always good for us consumers. So I wish them all the best. I hope they figure out their pricing, they get even more competitive as time goes on, and fix their website, make it better, please, for goodness sake. It looks like it's 2003 Adobe Flash stuff. Thank you guys for watching.